So Kat was my OG, original goalkeeper. She learned goalkeeping as I learned how to train. So she got probably the worst training out of me than any one of you.
Nice.
But what made a lot of her success to now is I only work technical stuff with her, and the speed and agility came on her own time. Since she was what we call a short goalkeeper, she took it upon herself to not be like she's still short, but to be able to get a high cross or make that high save. She took it upon herself by doing certain fitness techniques to get her body ready and so when she did get to that high school level to that college level, it didn't slow her down. So Kat is a 3 year, and correct me if I'm wrong, a 3 year varsity at Arlington High School, which they took fourth in state her senior year. She's two-time first team All League Westco 3A. Then she's first time All State 3A. She was captain of her college, Northwest University in Kirkland, and she was first team All League Cascade Collegiate Conference, and also Defensive Player of the Year this year. Did I miss anything? And last year, I believe, Kat, your junior year, you guys went and took top 8 in the nation.
That's pretty cool.
Well, you tell me.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, and you guys defeated the fourth ranked team.
Yeah, Vanguard, right? I don't know. I'm not good with numbers. I know we did really good.
And then the next game wasn't so good.
No, that was trash. But
Yeah.
it's all right.
So I'm just gonna have Kat. I want you to talk about. Let's start with your rec select time. Just talk about your development, what you learned, things that you overcame, and lessons learned.
Well, before Kyle started working with me, I was pretty much trash. Benched on the C team kind of thing, which no worries if you guys are there because there's hope. But Kyle really worked with me just on the basic stuff, and it was a very slow progression. It wasn't like I'm not like a naturally talented person, I would say. Like, it took a lot of effort and a lot of work outside of practice. Even just like our regular practice hours, which you guys are doing right now with him and Adam. And so learning form was a really big thing. I think that we first started working on, like, how do you dive? What are the angles? Or I think drop kicks were always a struggle for me. So it was something that we were constantly working on, is like how to get power and how to get placement. And I remember working a lot with angles and a lot with our diving, and his classic get big, like that started when we were just training. And basically what he's trying to get across was like, be fearless. Like, when the ball is in front of your box, like you're doing everything you can, you're getting your body as big as you can and you're blocking it. But like, that was only part of it. During my middle school years in select, our main head coaches were a lot on conditioning, and so that was a very exposing time for me, because I wasn't very physically fit and I wasn't at the place where other girls were. And so for me, the excuse was, I'm a goalkeeper, like, I don't have to be in the top of the group. It's okay if I'm the last 2 or the last 3. And Kyle was always like, no, if you're the goalkeeper, I want you like ahead. I want you to be the first person to cross the line or in that top group. And so that kind of didn't give me an excuse anymore. And as much as I wasn't motivated to do it, I'm glad that my parents were, because then they signed me up for some speed and agility classes for the days that I wasn't training with Kyle. It was at this weird like PT, like physical therapy / personal training gym. And so I'd work there with them. And I think it was there that I realized you can work hard to the point where you're out of breath and it hurts. And like, you're like, how do I get up? Like, how am I going to survive this? And then you get over it and you just feel like amazing that you just did that thing that you thought was impossible for you. And so that helped me with a lot of mental barriers that I had. And I think that's where it all started, was getting over some of the mental barriers that kept me from being a good goalkeeper and a good athlete and just a fearless player kind of thing. And so I didn't actually stick with the gym for long because, like I said, they kind of broke a barrier in my mind. And so I was able to take like what I learned and be motivated to be doing that stuff on my own. So as much as the technical training helps, I think the moral of my story is like you put in the extra work, and once that extra work gets you to the next level, well, then you do more work, or then you change the level of the work that you're doing so that you're constantly increasing. Like it's the more you give, the more you're going to get out of it. And it's okay to take it in steps and in stages. And so the first stage was really just getting into the technical part with Kyle, and then getting into the physical aspect, like just introducing me to the idea that soccer isn't just practicing. It's also what are you doing outside of it to make you better when you're on the field. So that's kind of what first started shaping me in my rec/select years.
Awesome. Blaze, you remember a while ago me and Adam talked with you and Ari that during a session you guys had reached a certain level and we're proud of you guys, but then we said, okay, now that's expectations. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what Kat was talking about. She reached a new level and she was excited about it, but then it was looking at, oh, okay, now I got to do better than that. What is that? And that's where me and Adam put you at that. I think that was about a year ago. All right, are there any questions so far from Maddie and Blaze or even Adam?
No, I'm good. I mean, it's good for everybody to get a different perspective, which is nice to have, instead of always just hearing you and me talking all the time.
Did you start out as a field player and then like told to play goalkeeper, or was that like an initial like want to be in that position? Or did you have any field experience prior?
I did, but not great experience. Like I said, I was a trash player when I first started, and I was just unmotivated, had a lot of mental blocks, and was physically unfit. But the way I started out was our goalkeeper was injured, and so they basically just said, anyone want to step into goal? And me not wanting to run, I was like, I'm gonna do it, like put me in. I ended up liking it and being okay at it, and so they just kept me in for a tournament, and then eventually the keeper didn't come back, so they're like, you're in. So it wasn't like goalkeeping was my desire was to not run. So a terrible way to start goalkeeping, but that's kind of how it started. But yeah, actually the majority of my field experience came later on, like after I was set in my ways as a goalkeeper. It was later on in my select years when I started getting some competition with other goalkeepers that
Beast
I was
mode.
playing. Yeah, Kelsey. I started playing like half on the field, half in goalkeeper, and that actually did help me with a lot of my goalkeeping in college, but we can get to that.
Good questions, guys. If you have them, just interrupt Kat, interrupt me when you have them. Feel free.
Yeah.
It's only two of you today. I am going to record this and I will send it out to people to watch later. But I guess let's go into high school. Like, what was I know your freshman year was a bit of a challenge. You went to JV, and what was tryouts like and forming that team in the first 2 weeks, if you remember?
Yeah, I can think back. Yeah, the JV part hit me pretty hard, and I think like all of my coaches and teammates saw that, and they're right there to support me. And like sometimes it's just the way it is, like it doesn't really define you as a player or like your potential. It's just there's senior goalkeepers or there's junior goalkeepers. There's people that have had 3 years to earn their spot when you've had the 2 weeks or whatever it is that you're doing it. And so don't let those things be setbacks is the first thing that I want to say. And also to have those people in your life that can speak into you and encourage you, and not just like the people that tell you what you want to hear. I think you guys know, like, Kyle's a pretty honest guy. Like if he thinks you can do better, he's going to tell you. But then it also gives you the confidence that when he says you're doing good, like, don't worry, keep your head up. You can trust it. And so I had a few people like that in my life during that time. But Yeah, starting off in JV,
Not always a bad
got-
thing. You got a lot of playing time.
I did. I got, I think, all the playing time in JV. I don't know if there was another goalkeeper. I can't remember back. So that was good. Getting just like my foot in the door, and a lot of my club team was also on JV with me. Like, I had kind of the same group of girls that I just grew up playing with in All Went to Arlington, and that was great. And it honestly like was a great foundation for our team because we had years and years by the time we got to varsity, and like we knew where each other were going to be, that kind of thing. But yeah, the playing time was great, and just there was always something to work for. I think that goal was in all of our heads, like, we're going to do our best in JV because we want the varsity coach to see it, you know, and like it kind of was the drive and the hunger and all of that. But yeah, the formation of the team, like I said, we kind of had all of our years together. So the team itself, like our foundation and our relationships had been formed years before, but I think there was a lot of frustration because of where we're at, and because some players weren't at what we believe like at our level. And a lot of the times that can be an excuse. And that was probably something that I fell into too, of not wanting to give your best because these other people weren't at your level. Like it was going to go to nothing because they were going to mess up or something like that. And that's an awful attitude. But yeah. Do you want to elaborate on what you want me to speak about, Jamie?
No, that's good, and I can go on that. So you guys understand what she's talking about with playing with a team that's maybe not up to your intensity, that your skill level. I know, Madeline, you've struggled with a couple teams in the past.
Yeah.
Even like you're right now with your okay, I don't know, your first 2 years at high school JV. So Kat, she's got the unlucky part. There are 3 goalkeepers your age. 4. Like, so 2 play at Snohomish. I don't know where the other one plays, and the other one's Madeline. So they're all
2 play at Rush, and 1 plays at Crossfire.
And we just had Micah and Aaron join us. Hi, guys.
Here. Say hi. Hi, Kyle. I'm gonna turn it up.
Hi,
Get
Micah.
you on the computer.
So you're here with Adam, Kat, Blaze, and Maddie.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Micah. So Micah is about, I think she's 10, 11.
Oh, young one. Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, they're on video.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you.
Hi, Micah.
I like it good.
All right. So
So,
go ahead, Adam.
well, so one thing I want you to talk about, Kat, that I think is kind of important for all the goalkeepers is the mindset. You know, we can talk about, you know, the normal diving and saving and everything else and all of the calisthenics and stuff that comes with it, but the mindset of a goalkeeper is a little different because you can be a striker, a midfielder, defender, make a mistake, and the end of the world doesn't come down on you. But as a goalkeeper, you make one mistake, and I can honestly say I remember mistakes I made in high school and before that still sit in the back of my mind. You know, oh, I could have done this or done that. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. If I'm going to be honest, it took a lot of years for me to develop mental strength. Like, it wasn't until college that I think I was really able to tap into that. And it was through a lot of hard times that I was able to tap into it. But I'm a very, very like feelsy person. I feel everything with like my whole being. And so a save, I'm sure Kyle can attest to that. Like a missed save was like crushing and damaging, and like it would take a lot for me to recover, even like for the remainder of the game. And like I would end up doing my part, but I don't think it was until college that I think was trained in that. Like I was fortunate enough to have another great goalkeeper coach, and he by that time was like, yeah, you got your technical skills down, but I'm going to train you mentally, and I'm going to, do these things. And so I would say that when I was in JV and when I was in high school soccer, like that wasn't my strong suit. Like it took other people speaking into my life at that point for me to regroup and gather and keep going. And so if you're at that point, like those people were like pivotal to me. And so like teammates that were uplifting, or fans and like parents and coaches that like I said, they would be honest, but you knew that their honesty meant something. If they were saying like, shake it off, move on, like we still love you, we still trust you for this next game or for this next half or these things. And so during that point in my life, I don't think mentally I was the best keeper. I just like had the training and I had the physicality, and like that's what made me into the successful goalkeeper I was in high school. Because honestly, I don't think a lot of the girls were there like psychologically at the level that I think I got to in college, where that's what sets you apart, not really all the things that everybody's done to get to that point. And so if you're at that place, have people that you trust and people that are honest. Because there were also games where someone would tell me, like you let down, but the common phrase that every goalkeeper hates to hear is like, oh, it passed through 10 other players before it got to you, so it means they let down too. And so self-grace is something that is so important for a goalkeeper, and if you can learn it early, like good on you, it's going to make you all the better. But I learned it kind of late. So if you want me to talk about that now, I can wait till we get to the college year portion of it.
Yeah, let's wait to get into college in a second. Does anyone have any questions right now regarding her rec, select, and high school kind of pathway so far? All right, now I think this is going to be the biggest question. I know Maddie's very intrigued and interested about it, but how did you go about researching and looking for your colleges that you wanted to play for?
I'm not the best person to ask about this, I'm gonna be honest, because I'm the kind of person, I don't know, like I just got the idea in my mind and then I said, yep, okay, I'll go to Northwest. And like my whole thought process was, I'm gonna go to Northwest. And for me, my faith is very important to me, and so that's why Northwest was going to be the school for me, is because I wasn't just soccer focused. Like there's a lot of aspects to my life, like the effort that I put into soccer, like I put into school and I put into my faith and I put into these other aspects of my life. And so for me, Northwest was going to give me a chance to grow as a student. And at the time I wanted to pursue nursing. It has a great nursing program, and at the time, like I wanted to be at a place where I would grow as a woman of God. And like by the time I got out of it, I knew it was a place that I'd say like I'm more mature in my faith than when I started. And at the time, honestly, their soccer program wasn't anything notable. And so I went there because I knew I wanted to play a competitive level, and the voices were saying, NAIA is the next like D2, like they're the same thing. And so it's like, okay, then I don't mind doing that. I did have some pride because obviously I wanted to go as big and as far with soccer in that sense. Like if I could have played D1, like that would have been amazing, and like that would have just been like the ultimate confident boost. But there was these other aspects in my life that were equally, if not more important to me than even like the love of my life, soccer. Like I know soccer isn't going to last forever. So choosing a school that would build me as a person and that would build me like as a student and towards my career, like I was thinking long term. And so that's honestly why I chose Northwest. And when I was there, God just like totally blessed our soccer team, and we made leaps and bounds that the teams before us didn't make and couldn't make. And so now we're just this very notable program, and like people are desiring to go there because of the success the past 4 years have had, and just girls with the right heart and the right mindset entering into the program and willing to play soccer differently. I do think our faith gave us a leg up because we were all united, like in that sense, like we all came there for that reason, and like unity on a team is so important. And so for that was our like central point for unity. And so that really did help. And even at Christian schools, not every athlete goes there for the faith base. And I think we just got lucky with soccer that the majority of the girls were there for that. And so that really gave us success. But yeah, Maddie, for you looking, soccer is important, but it can fade, and it can fade quicker than you'll know it. Like there's injuries, there's whatever that can happen.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, no, don't want to bring that on you, but like thinking long term is the most important. Like pursue soccer as long as you can. Like do that. That is so important because it also like it's your passion. It's what's going to make you happy, and you learn so many lessons through it, and it'll make you better in the long term, honestly. Like just the lessons that you learn and how you can take that into a career, into a family, into society. Like it's amazing. But also be looking at these other aspects, like where are you going to grow as a student and a future woman in her career? Where are you going to grow personally? Like if family's super important to you, like if you know that that's something that you need to be close to, like search for a school close to family. If you are very confident that on your own you're going to do fine and you can branch off, like do that, like experience other places. There's just so many things to take into account. And for me, like I'm a youngest child, and I'm like I wanted to be by my parents in case I needed anything. So that's why Northwest was also a great place. And I have a huge family, a huge Hispanic family.
Just
and
a bit.
Like yeah, it's like 90 people, y'all. But I exaggerated, it's 70. But
So
like wanting to be there for those family gatherings, like there's just so many aspects that you want to take into account, not just soccer.
yeah, so what you kind of went for like the trifecta. You went for what's your career, what's your interest as far as what's after soccer. You went to what you believe in, your faith, to follow something there. Then you found somewhere that you knew you could grow and develop a good career in soccer. And if you were able to continue, you would have had that opportunity if you're only good enough, Kat. I mean, you're going to be a little better.
Yeah, so that was also an important question that you just brought up. I asked my coach directly, like, is there a channel here for professional? And right away he said, yeah, like we're working with our men's goalkeeper right now to get into this professional league. And so like even that, just knowing that there was doors, there's connections, I was like, okay, like that settled some of the anxiety, because I wanted to know that I would have a path if I wanted to keep going with this. And for a very long time I did, probably still do in a sense, but it's kind of on a hold, have some other passions. But yeah, so that was also very important. Like when you're thinking long term, if soccer is gonna be your long term, like having those questions in mind too, like is there an outlet here for me? And like even if they say, you know, they doubt you or something, like yeah, but you won't get there, just know that there's a way, know that there's an outlet, know that it's possible. Like you can work on earning respect later, you can work on, you know, earning their confidence later, just like knowing there's a way.
Awesome. Would slightly slided over into more the team aspect now. You're in college. You meet if I remember correctly, the coach who originally recruited with you left before your first practice. So and then
scary.
Now you have a new coach who's only known you from what he's seen in the papers or in the other coaches' logs. So what was that first interaction with your new coach who didn't recruit you, but now you're on his team?
Oh, it was so nerve-wracking. And it was humbling because I had gotten like the verbal word of the coach that recruited me, like, yeah, you're going to be our starter. Like, I see it in you, you're going to start, you know? And so like I came in there like ultra confident, you know, too confident, a dangerous level of confidence. Like the first thing he said was like, I know you've gotten this word, but I'm the coach now. And like, I'm going to do what's best for the team, and no one's going to have a spot on this team until they earn it here in preseason, until they earn it like off the field, like all of these things. And that was good for me to hear. And that first preseason was nerve-wracking, anxiety to the max, but it was also probably the most fun I had in soccer, because me and this other goalkeeper who was the senior goalkeeper at the time, like we were pushing each other to levels that we'd never been before, because we were so competitive. Both of us wanted it so bad to be the starting goalkeeper, and so one keeper would bring it at the practice, and so then the next keeper would bring it better at the next practice, and then it would just be like this back and forth ladder effect that was, I don't know, I was exhausted after every practice. I was mentally just drained. I would just like sleep when I wasn't practicing, because it was just putting everything into a practice to prove a point to a coach that neither of us knew. So that preseason in college is just the best, especially if you're truly in love with soccer. It's probably going to be the best time ever.
Was it unclear at any point that you guys didn't know who the starter was going to be?
Yeah, it was the entire preseason that we didn't know who the starter was going to be. And he pulled us, I think, at the end of the month, like the entire time we were both asking who is it going to be, and he didn't have an answer for us. And so it wasn't until the end of preseason that we kind of finally got the answer, and it was the senior goalkeeper. And like in a way, he didn't even come out and say it. I think he did this so right. He said, this week Lauren's going to start. But he made the competition last throughout my entire freshman year. And she went out most of the weeks, but there was about 2 weeks in there where I was the starting goalkeeper for those games. But it was literally the entire first year was just this competition between us both. And in a way that was healthy. Like, I respect her so much, and I learned a lot from the senior goalkeeper, like not just like the physical, it's just like the leadership, the way she talked to her defense, like her possession skills, just like her presence and how she could calm a field. Like those things I learned a lot from Lauren. But yeah, I don't think I've had a season like that where I grew so much as a player because of this competition, where Brian would say, you know, like, I haven't made the decision for the weekend. Like, it was always up to the last minute, and I would wait for his post on our Facebook page of who was going to start. Like that, it was always that intense. And I mean, it was tiring, but like both of us would just be on edge because we never actually knew until like the night before. And honestly, like that was so good for me, like, because there was never an excuse to slack.
So we have a goalkeeper, Cameron Chad, who he's taking a final right now, which is why he can't join us. This is his first year off in college. He plays in Kansas for Tabor College. Tabor, sorry. They're a Division II, I think. So he got recruited along with, I think, 2 or 3 other freshman goalkeepers. So he's been battling all season, and they have like a JV/varsity type of setup. Where he's mostly kind of been bouncing back between both teams. The coaches never define a starter. What are some words that you might have for Cameron if you were here?
I would say to respect your competition, because even while you're battling, you can learn a lot from them, and that will just make you all the more a better competitor. Like, in a way, even that, like, is you like unifying. Like me and Lauren had a great relationship that year because it wasn't personal. Like we were just going to do our best, and if the other person brought it, we were going to do even better than we've ever done before. And so I'd say learn what you can from your competition. Like don't make it an isolating thing where it's just you against them. Like pick out what you see in them that makes them a great goalkeeper, and if it's something that you don't have or that you could be better at or you could match them in, then work on that thing. Like for me, like Lauren, her leadership was huge. Like she had so many years with these girls, and so I was looking at the things she said to her players because when she was on the field, she wasn't just like a good goalkeeper, like shot stopper. Like she would compose her defense and like just the way that travels all the way up the field was like astounding. Like you can be the most talented player, but if you don't have a voice and you don't have a presence, like you're not going to be the goalkeeper that you need to be for your team. Like there's a lot that goes into goalkeeping. And so, yeah, Cameron, when you listen to this, like respect your competition, learn from your competition, like, and it's going to be a humbling experience. Like my whole first year was a very humbling experience, and it took a lot of shots to my pride, but it made me a better team and a better leader when I got to that position in the end, because I told myself I wasn't going to let my pride get in the way of my growth, and I wasn't going to let my pride get in the way of how I supported Lauren when she started, and how, you know, if she made a save, like it wasn't going to be a bad thing to me because she just proved herself. Like I was going to be excited for her, and if she didn't make a save, I was going to be the first person there to like tell her she's an amazing goalkeeper and she deserves to be in there, and like don't let it stop you. You know, those things that I think competition can sometimes take away from teammates. Like don't let that happen. Respect them, and like in a weird way, like treasure who they are, because they're going to make you better in the end.
Awesome answer. Thank you, Kat. Adam, do you have anything you want to ask as far as the more of the mental mindset in the higher level? Or you asked a question earlier that I kind of cut her off halfway through. I think now is time we can probably go into the rest of that question, the answer, unless Kat, you remember what that was.
Yeah, I totally remember what that was. My mental game, there was a lot of work my freshman year because of the humbling. Part of it, you know, you get told you're going to be the starter, and then for the majority of the year you're not. Like it's just a straight shot to the pride, and it made me really reevaluate why I was playing. Like, was I playing because I wanted people's recognition and because I wanted to be liked? And if I was better, the more I was going to be liked and loved and all those things. And just the weird dynamics of being a human. Like, you don't know how much you do out of the desire for approval and the desire for relationship. And like in sports, that can be so ingrained into us. Like performance, like the better you perform, the more you're going to be liked and the more you're going to be treasured. And so like that's why those shots to the pride are so detrimental sometimes, like when we don't keep that in check. But my mental game really started to change later on in my college years. My coach was very sensitive to those things, and I'm a very expressive person, so it didn't take a mastermind to know what I was thinking or know how something affected me. But his tips were things like stay in the moment, like those little things. And like a very practical thing for mindset was I made a routine for resetting. If a goal was scored on me, there was a certain steps I was going to do that I was going to intentionally forget and move on. And for me, it was I'm going to get the ball out of the back of the net as quick as I could, as if it was never there in the first place. And then I was going to yell out loud, reset. And like in a way, I made it look like I was yelling to my team, but it was for myself, you know, like reset. And I'd clap my hands together a few times, get out the frustration, and then I would address my defense, like specifically if, and it would be things that weren't very technical. It was something like, I see you're frustrated. You can be frustrated about this tomorrow. Like we have more game to play, or just those simple things that I was addressing someone else, but it was all for me. And that honestly changed my game, like to the max, like being able to get scored on and then forget about it because you got 60 more minutes to play or however more minutes to play. Like find what works for you to be intentionally forgetful in those moments. And then you can come back to them later. You can come back to them after the game or the next practice when you want to learn from those mistakes, because that's important too. But in the game, it's not the time to truly learn. You know, like you're just going to keep thinking about it until your thoughts are so consumed on the past that they're not quick enough for the next reaction. And it just gets so much in the way. So that was one thing I learned in college that was like pivotal to me is that intentional forgetting. And then other ways my faith really started to play into my mindset as well. This whole idea of self-grace that my coach really worked with me. And it has a lot to do with what I was talking about with performance and relationship. Like I could get into this rut of like 2-week ruts where I just couldn't seem to do anything right because I was so angry. Like I just missed one. And so then my anger would build and it would just get me into a place where I would yell when I didn't do right. And that's not me. If you know me, like I'm a very joyful, giggly person. And so to see like the sport that I love change me to a way where I was just angry. There's a difference between being intense and being in the moment, and like getting people to recognize the intensity of a moment. Like as a goalkeeper, that's something you got to do too. Like that's very important, the way you talk to get people into the moment. Like if it's an intense situation and a very serious situation, like you're going to speak that way so that your defense understands like there's no messing up here. But as far as like being angry to the point where it changes you and it clouds what you do and your perception and your thoughts as you're going out like throughout your day, like it doesn't just stay with you on the field, it's following you off of practice and into these other things of life. I had that happen to me. And so it was my coaches that like sat me down and gave me a few lessons on self-grace and what that means, and like not expecting perfection. Like your goal is not perfection, your goal is growth. And like I had to say that to myself all the time. Like a mistake isn't detrimental, it's an opportunity. Like if you didn't have mistakes, you wouldn't know what to grow in. You know, like if you never risked enough to make a mistake, you were never giving enough at the first place. And so it was just these little lines that I would say to myself like throughout my day when I was on the field. Like don't be perfect, be a learner, like grow, you know. And like if you make a mistake, it's because you put yourself out there, you know, like you're trying to go to the next level, like you're playing against girls that are challenging you. And another practical thing, which I thought was like such a weird perspective on the goalkeeper. But my coach, Scott, he said something along the lines of, think of it this way, your job isn't to save absolutely everything. It's to make sure that all the shots that are scored on you have to be amazing. And I was like, wow, you know, like all of a sudden my job isn't to be this unstoppable person. It's to be the person that makes their competition the best. Like they have to be the best if they're going to put something in the net. You know, like it's almost like this give back. Like you're doing your competition a favor because they have to be on their best game if they're going to get a goal on you.
That is 100% true.
That's just like a totally like earth-shattering perspective to me, because I'm like, if I let one in, like it's because I failed. And so to have that new perspective and like just how that affected my team too, because then all of a sudden my teammates were going to have to be excellent in practice because they were going against me, you know. Like it's those like subtle shifts in my perspective that really turned me into the goalkeeper I was my junior and my senior year of college. And it's the time where all of a sudden like the recognition was coming with it, and like the just the way the game totally reshaped, because I don't think personally like those lessons were going to be taught to girls like in the public schools or in the public colleges, because my coaches were very intentional. Like soccer wasn't just going to be about competition, it was going to be a place where they were going to build girls up and then send them out to the world to build everyone else up around them. And so I was very fortunate to have coaches that like there was more to it than just soccer. Like there's more to their coaching than just that. So they were able to like take me to the side and give me these lessons that were life lessons but changed the game for me completely. But yeah, that last bit about what a goalkeeper's job is. Like that was really redefining for me.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna take that.
Yeah, do it.
So we got about 10 minutes left. I wanted to open the floor or the mic up to Blaze, Adam, Maddie, Aaron, or Micah. If you guys have any questions, do just start asking them right now. Take advantage of this. Kat's very knowledgeable. She's skilled. She's a lot of things. Awesome being one of them. So take time right now to ask her anything you want. Like, who is her favorite trainer? Who's the number one person growing? Oh, come on.
What was harder, like the physical side of it or the mental side of it?
Mental, 100%. I mean, there was a lot of physical things, like I said, when in the beginning, where you have to take it to the next level. Like once you reach a level, then you're gonna step it up a notch. The physical that happened, like there was the speed and agility training, and then when I got into high school, I learned how to weight train and I learned how to build muscle and build power. And then when I got into college, I was fortunate enough to study exercise science. So I learned how to weight lift and speed and agility and all these things for the purpose of goalkeeping, like how to purposely train myself on the off hours for my personal goal. And that helped, but every goalkeeper in the conference was going to have someone that was pushing them in the gym, or, like going above and beyond in college is expected in the physical sense. Like, that's what coaches are looking for, and players know that coaches are looking for that. So you're going to put in the time in the gym if you want to play. You're going to put in the time on the field doing sprints, doing whatever, if you want to play, because there's always eyes watching you. So I would say what sets you apart and what's the most hardest to obtain is your mental side. And that doesn't just come by yourself. Like, that comes with people who are real with you, are not going to tell you when you're letting your psyche get in the way or whatever it is. So if that's your parents, like, go to your parents. If that's your teammates, go to your teammates, those sort of things. But yeah, the mental side is going to be the hardest. And know that, like, it took me all the way until my last 2 years playing before I finally let it click. If you can do it before, like, do it, work on it now. But yeah, it's definitely the most important and the hardest.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you think you spent outside of training with me and training with your team you think you put into your own agility, speed and agility?
Oh my gosh. About 3 hours a week in the beginning. Like, when I was a middle schooler, that was probably it. And then when I got to high school and I got into weight training, probably jumped up to about 6 hours a week. In college, it was constantly, like, even on the days I practiced, I was going to be in the gym, and I was smart about it. Like, if I just did a whole bunch of dives, I wasn't going to go into a power training. Like, maybe I'd do a weightlifting training, or maybe I would work on my core. But that was probably, goodness, I don't know, I'd say like 10 hours a week, if that. I also had the fortunate of, like, being the first string goalkeeper. Like, I would train the other goalkeepers in the gym, and so it kept me really accountable. But that was constantly, yeah. But you also have to learn how to take breaks. So Sundays were my breaks.
Yeah, Maddie.
So yeah, a lot of extra hours. And I got smarter and more efficient with my hours as I learned and as I grew and did my own research and stuff like that.
Did you have a modified diet? And if you did, you want to explain to the keepers what you changed in your diet while you were training?
Diet was always a sensitive subject for me. Like, it came with a lot of emotions, honestly. Because as I started to learn about food, like, eating almost became like a negative thing to me. Like, it just brought a lot of stress. But basically I learned how to cut out sugar when it wasn't necessary and to treat myself when I did a good job. But I did for a few summers start counting not calories but macronutrients. So protein and fat and carbohydrates were the three big ones that I was focusing on. And I actually like paid someone to like go through the activities that I was doing and say how much of each of those macronutrients I needed to not only sustain, I wanted to build a muscle. And so they would add like extra protein for me to build muscle. But those were in the summers. I never dieted during season. It's just a very thin line to walk to get it right. And I didn't want me trying to diet to almost push me to the other side where I wasn't getting enough energy or, your body changes with the way you eat. So I'm like going through all these changes that I just couldn't keep track of while I'm also trying to be this athlete. And so at least don't start a diet when you're in season. Like wait till you have the time to experiment and to play and to feel your body out. And diet is so individualized. Like it takes a lot of experimenting and asking experts in that area. But my counting macronutrients helped me to at least be more aware of what certain foods were going to do to me, like what basically the cost of certain foods was. But I didn't stick with it. Like I wasn't counting my macronutrients during any of my seasons. It just more of gave me the know-how of what I would be putting into my body. Eating a lot more vegetables is honestly key. Like there's some bodybuilders who are plant-based only, and it's just like people don't know how much vegetables can do for them. But also water. I don't drink enough water. That was something I was always struggling with. Drink a lot of water.
Maddie, did you have something?
No, I was just gonna say I skipped practice this week to do school, so I had a rest day.
Yeah. We used to have the joke, Kat, that Maddie plays soccer 8 days a week because on Sundays was double train day. She would train with us, and then she'd go down to Seattle and train with the rain.
Oh, wow. No, girl, take breaks. You're going to burn yourself out if you don't.
And when we were joking about Maddie getting hurt, if anything, she's going to hurt me or Adam. And actually, she's gotten really close, taking us out.
That's funny.
I do have at least 1.5 rest days now. It's been pretty
That's
consistent.
Micah,
That's real good.
Micah, do you have a question or anything you want to ask Kat? Just make sure you unmute yourself.
No.
No, you sure?
I don't have any questions really, Mom.
That's okay.
I don't really have any questions because
Well, I don't know if you, Mike, I don't know if you heard, but Kat started playing goalkeeper because she hates to run.
Yeah.
She missed the first 20 minutes of all that good talk.
Yeah.
My mom's trying to figure out how you get me on Facebook.
Yeah. So she was saying that she got in the goal because the other goalkeeper wasn't there and she didn't want to run that day, so she jumped in goal. But now she's learned. Well,
I run every day.
Yeah.
I just don't like to run because I just hate running.
Yeah.
So honestly, probably my biggest weakness is running in soccer.
Yeah. That was mine too. And then Kyle told me goalkeepers have to be the fastest, and then
I actually think maybe midfielders are maybe.
oh, I disagree.
Well, because goalkeepers have to be fast, move quickly to the ball.
Yeah.
But that's more sidestepping rather than running back and forth on the field.
Yeah, but how much better would your size
Different type
be
of endurance.
if you were running?
We're gonna let Kat see you.
Oh,
Your glory.
let me see. Nice. So glory.
She's a big goofy girl.
So tell Kat though. So Kat, I did like how you talked about when acknowledging when there were good shots on goal for you, and if they got by to acknowledge that those were good shots. Because Micah last year, that was a big thing that I, as a parent and as their team manager, was like, a goal got past her, we would acknowledge if she was kind of being lazy. Like, yeah, that was when you let get by, but let it go. You're moving on
Yeah.
from it. But then there was some shots on her that were just amazing shots, and even she would be on the field and she'd tell that person that was a really nice shot. Then she'd come off the field and she's like, Mom, that was good. And I'm like, yeah, we all were like, that was a good shot. And you should tell the other team members.
Yeah.
Yell at them, say, nice shot, and acknowledge that, because
Yeah.
sometimes you can do all you can.
Though sometimes
Exactly.
when I see like super good shots that I literally know I am not gonna be able like to something like oop. Like it's just so fast.
My phrase was, well, that was just a win for soccer. If I just thought that was amazing, I'm like, soccer wins here.
I just oop. I say oop a lot.
All right. Any other questions, Blaze, Maddie, Adam?
No, not really.
I do. Kat, do you still go to Northwestern?
Don't. I am a trainer there actually now. I was asked my senior year if I'd come back and be the goalkeeper coach. So that's what I'm doing right now. Odd times. It's not exactly the same, but
I was gonna say, my daughter goes there, so I was wondering, the campus is closed now, isn't it?
no. It's actually open. Are you talking about Northwest or Northwestern in Chicago?
Northwest.
Yeah.
Kirkland.
Oh.
As
Yeah,
in
I think-
here in Washington.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think the campus is still open. I know now trainings for soccer, like today was our last real training until spring.
Okay. Yeah, because she didn't. This was her first year. Well, she's a junior, but this is her first year, and she actually has been at home doing classes because all of her classes are online. We went up and saw Northwest just last week, and there was nobody on the campus. There was a few people, but it was pretty empty.
Yeah, I think there's an option to be on campus, but most students are like half in person, half online. So, yeah.
Nice.
One of the selling points for Northwest is the field they play on is amazing. It's like
it's
pro level.
Beautiful.
We put a lot of money into that field. Like, we're not allowed to practice on it for so long in order to get it looking that way. Like right now, it doesn't look good because we've been practicing on it.
I actually have one ending question for you to talk about.
Yeah.
How do you deal with a mother who is as emotional, or if not more emotional, than you?
With a mother,
You heard her from the sidelines. I'm sure you did.
I definitely did. Well, it was a good balance because my dad is like not emotional at all. So I got to deal with both, and it kind of evened out because I would get off the field and my dad would just immediately start talking like game tactics too. And then my mom would just be like, I love you so much. You're such a great person. I'm like, okay, that was random. But honestly, I think my mom's support was like everything. The fact that she was there, and the fact that like, you know, I feel things with my full being, and she felt my things with her full being, and just like, you know, kind of having her there and knowing she was just as into this as I was crucial.
How did you show your appreciation?
My appreciation?
To your parents, your dad worked a lot. Your mom drove you everywhere. How do you thank them?
Yeah. This is going to be kind of silly, but my scholarship, my dad was saying like the entire time, you know, like if you put in the work now, it'll pay off for us later. And so in school, like that was like a very practical way. Like he's like, you just saved us a bunch of money because you put so much work in when you were younger. But it's also just like the everyday little things. Like after a game that you lose, it's so easy to just be angry at the world, including like the people that sacrificed a lot to get you there. And even that, like, I didn't learn until a little bit later on. So do that now. All you younger goalkeepers, like, at least remember reality when you're angry. You know, like the reality of it is your parents didn't do anything wrong. Like, and the world is still good and fine. You know, those sort of things. Like just do the little things to like show that you appreciate them. And my parents love to see me playing soccer. Like, it just brings them a lot of joy because they see how much joy it brings me. So if you want to make your parents proud, really be passionate about the things that you do, because they love to see you like in your element. They love to see you like giving your all to something. And so even that, I think my parents would say, like, that's what brought them the most gratification, was the fact that I was going to do soccer with joy, not like with anger or with, you know, like this anxiety. Like, I'm going to do it with passion. So that's another thing.
Awesome. So I'll wrap it up. I want to say thank you from all of us, Kat. This was awesome. I don't know how many quotes you have in this whole call. I'm glad I recorded it because there's so many things I can just take from this. And I'm sure everyone else here can. And I'll be sharing this out to everyone. I'm going to put it as a private link on YouTube, so only people who have the link can use it. So I'll make sure I share it out to you guys. And then, yeah, thank you, Kat. And I'm sure we can hopefully do this again soon.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'll gladly do it again.
And post-COVID, we have to get back on the field.
Oh my gosh, it might be a little ugly. I went out and I actually played small-sided, and you would not believe how many times I batted at the ball. It was embarrassing.
You should watch me and Adam when we first went out. We did these Twitch trainings back in June, May, and our touches were, I don't think horrible counts, Adam. But now that we've been doing, we almost did 4 or 5 trainings a week. Our touches, they're getting pretty good, like MLS good. All right.
And by MLS, he means the people that shoot over the goal.
Yes, I totally understood. That's funny. I'm actually holding mid now. I've been playing holding mid since postseason, my senior year.
Oh, wow.
I'm actually not bad, but every time we actually play, I'm in holding mid. So at least I got that.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, I'll let you guys go. Thank you for coming out or coming online today. Some of you, I think I see you on Sunday. We're going to have that small-sided trainings.
Yes.
Adam's got some stuff planned for us, so we'll see you guys out there on Cash.